In this lesson, we are going to talk about the first of our important solids, namely prisms. The essential question for this lesson is, how do you identify the parts of a prism, and how do you find its lateral area, total area, and volume? First of all, let's define what a prism is. A prism is a solid figure whose bases or ends have the same size and shape and are parallel to one another, and each of whose sides is a parallelogram. Here are some typical prisms. Note that a prism does not have to be triangular, like the kind that you see from science that creates a rainbow by breaking up light. We could have a rectangular prism where the bases are rectangles. We could have a hexagonal prism where the bases are hexagons. We could have a pentagonal prism where the bases are pentagons. These are all prisms. The first part of the prism we will talk about is the base. The base is, first of all, this shaded portion here. But in addition, there is another base which is opposite and parallel to it. And that is over on the other side, over here. Now, notice that the bases are congruent polygons lying in parallel planes. Next, there are the lateral faces. The lateral faces are the faces of a prism that are not its bases, okay? So they are these sides here, okay? And they go all the way around. Finally, there is the altitude. The altitude is a segment joining the two base planes and perpendicular to both. So if we were to look at this prism here, the altitude basically would be this distance here. Now, one last thing to note, and this relates to the lateral faces of a prism. If these lateral faces are rectangles rather than just general parallelograms, then the prism is a right prism. Otherwise, the prism is considered to be an oblique prism if the lateral faces are strictly just general parallelograms and not rectangles. Now let's look at the lateral area of a prism. The lateral area of a prism is simply the sum of the areas of its lateral faces. Now, if this is put in the form of a formula, the lateral area of a prism equals the perimeter of a base times the height of the prism, or simply P times H, where P is the perimeter of the base, H is the height. Now, the total area of a prism is the sum of the areas of all of its faces. Now, if you put this into a formula, you would say that TA, which is total area, is equal to the lateral area, or LA, plus 2B, where capital B is the area of each base. Now, prisms have volume as well as area. So if we want to calculate the volume of a prism, we would do the following. The volume of a right prism equals the area of a base times the height of the prism, or strictly V, capital V for volume, is equal to capital B, which is the area of the base, times the height. Now don't forget, in terms of units, the units for area are going to be square units, while the units for volume are going to be cubic units. So if we are measuring our prism in centimeters, the area would be square centimeters and the volume would be cubic centimeters. Now, as an example, I would like you to find the lateral area, total area, and volume of a right square prism with a base 2 centimeters on a side and a height of 5 centimeters. Post your answers in the Dropbox. Thank you.